So I was going to do a review of Hugh Jackman's Wolverine swan song, Logan, for the first episode of the new season. I think we're up to 3 now, or maybe 4. Do seasons even really exist on YouTube? Anyway, I still haven't gotten around to watching it, so, Sausage Party. Yeah, that's the ticket. Here's your damn Rant show, folks. Greetings, I am E. Adam Thomas, and welcome to Film Rants. Coming up, tonight is Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg's raunchy 2016 animated comedy that gives both Aqua Teen Hunger Force movie film for theaters and South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut, what a mouthful that was, a run for their money as the raunchiest animated films ever. After, of course, Fritz the Cat and Heavy Metal. Rated R for strong, crude sexual content, pervasive language, and drug use, this anti-Pixar film tells the tale of a hot dog, a bun, and all of their savory friends struggling to find heaven in the grocery bags of vapid consumers, only to find that their image of heaven, being taken home and loved by their human benefactors, they discover that their gods are brutal devourers, bent on murdering, skinning, burning, and defiling them in the most horrible ways they can possibly imagine. And for food, they actually have quite vivid imaginations. Their voyage of discovery turns into a nightmarish hell on wheels, culminating in a brutal revolt against their bipedal anti-deities. During this voyage, however, they are also seen engaging in rampant drug use and sexual deviance that would make even Larry Flint throw up a little bit in his mouth. Actually, probably not. Okay, yeah, that guy's pretty perverted. Anyway, throughout its 89-minute runtime, this film manages to inappropriately touch on pretty much every taboo in our society, which in and of itself is quite an accomplishment in less than an hour and a half, considering the fact that you can't even show a topless Barbie doll on TV these days. Pretty much, though, this film comes off at first like a hedonistic bonfire of profane depravity, which you would think, based on the controversies that erupted after the release of some of the other films I mentioned, would have stirred a veritable shitstorm of protests from decency groups and religious organizations. The funny thing is, there wasn't all that much pushback from the right-wingers on this film. Probably because they were too busy trying to get the annoying orange elected as president to bother with picketing a naughty cartoon movie. Instead, the film was mostly lauded by critics and became the highest-grossing animated film for adults since the South Park film 17 years ago. The secret to this film's success is in the writing. Yes, it's 90 minutes of gross-out humor, but it's nestled quite comfortably in a story with heart that touches on a lot of deep philosophical questions about belief and faith, and it does so in a much more honest and thought-provoking way than any of Pixar's kid-friendly output. It deals with life, love, death, sexuality, and the soul in a simultaneously humorous and genuine ways. As for the performances by the voice cast, I really want to hand it to Bill Hader, who voiced at least 3 separate characters in the film. The whole cast is great, but Hader has a unique vocal complexity that, with a little work, could closely rival Mel Blanc in both variety and comic timing. I still think my buddy Chris is better, but Hader's no slouch. I'm no hater. Anyway, if I do have a problem with this film, it's with the pacing. There are times in the film where it seems to slow down a bit too much, and then it picks back up in an often jarring way. It's sort of like driving in rush hour traffic. You get going along pretty good for a few blocks, and then you get stuck through 3 changes of the light before you can get moving again. This could be more forgivable in a longer film, but in a 90-minute food fuck fest, it was a bit disorienting. Fortunately, this doesn't occur too often in the film, so it's more or less forgivable. To be honest, I am surprised this film doesn't have more vocal haters, though. I mean, We as a society have entered a phase of judgmentally puritanical attitudes that has caused more than a few pop culture franchises to have to rein in their own subject matter. Social justice warriors dominate our social media, and for the most part, the creative pushback against their everything is evil bullshit is almost non-existent. It's one of the reasons we don't have any cool, groundbreaking music or movies like we did in the decades past. The television, movie, and music industries are working overtime in many cases to make sure that subversions, the likes of the Sex Pistols, All in the Family, or Midnight Cowboy, are few and far between. If Sausage Party is anything, it is a desperately needed pressure release that we are mostly being deprived of in most other media. Most of our most daring and innovative films and series are relegated to pay-per-view services like HBO and Netflix. A lot of you out there, especially those who have taken umbrage, hi Dolores, to my own expletive-laden delivery, have lost your senses of humor because there's this attitude that any joke must somehow be offensive and hurtful to somebody. And as such, it must be avoided and socially criminalized. Oh no! There's a reason Sausage Party was certified 82% fresh on RottenTomatoes.com, and it has very little to do with the actual film craft. I mean, the animation is fine, but it's not leaving Toy Story or Wall-E in the dust by any stretch. This film proves that you can make a movie filled to the brim with profanity, questionable humor, downright juvenile food sex puns, and still also be thoroughly entertaining and thoughtful. Now, before I get onto the rantometer, I just want to give you a quick heads up on the structure. Up until now, artistic and originality have been treated as separate categories, but in rewatching some of my past rants, I've come to feel that they are pretty redundant of one another. So starting tonight, originality is being replaced with an aspect I have previously failed to consider on this show: rewatchability. I feel that the true genius of a film comes in whether or not you can comfortably sit through it more than once. For instance, I can't tell you how many VHS copies of Star Trek II, Godzilla vs. Destroyer, Airplane, that I've worn out over the years. Yet other amazing films that I genuinely love, like Lawrence of Arabia, A Clockwork Orange, or Schindler's List, show very little wear and tear. I think most of us out there have favorite films that we are willing to watch over and over again, and I believe that such a quality should be factored in. I'm still leaving the bongs in as a symbol, though, because, well, I can't think of anything better, and it's kind of funny anyway. Maybe Bloodshot Eyes or something. Anyway, on the artistic score, Sausage Party gets a 4. Again, visually, it's a wonderfully realized but not exactly groundbreaking film. Coolness gets a solid 5. It's just plain fucking cool. No two ways about it. Rewatch gets a 2.5. As cool as it is, for whatever reason, it's not a film I'm likely to pop into the Blu-ray player more than once a year or so. Suckitude does get a 1. Because of some of the humor, especially in reference to some of the more racially stereotypical stuff, feels a bit forced, and kind of crosses the line in a couple of uncomfortable ways. That gives Sausage Party a respectable score of 10.5. Now, for a new segment on the show, viewer comments. Tonight we're looking at some of the comments on my top 10 list of worst Toho Godzilla movies. The Ambervert writes, "Really great list. I appreciate the fact that I'm not the only one who dislikes Godzilla vs. Biollante. There was little to no action between the monsters, and the storyline of the humans washed out the entire point of it being a Godzilla movie in the first place. Yes, the idea of this movie had so much potential, but it was poorly executed and horribly made in the movie." Thank you for that. I really wanted to like that film since we had to wait more than 5 years for another Godzilla film after Godzilla 1985 was released, but yeah, it was an uphill battle just to get through it. On the other side of the spectrum, Leo Forehouse writes simply, "Fuck you, bitch." Okay, whatever. I love how YouTube viewers range from the thoughtful and insightful to people who just like to linguistically fart in your face. Whatever. Let's send Leo a can of Febreze and a copy of Hustler from 1978, shall we? And make sure the pages are good and sticky. I've got some extra if you need it. As always, don't forget to comment and share this episode, and stay tuned in the coming weeks as I will be reviewing Logan, the premiere of Star Trek Discovery, and for October, some of my favorite classic horror films. From Angry Men Reviews, this is E. Adam Thomas saying, "The Great Beyond is bullshit!"
Angry Men Reviews. Many fucks said, no fucks given.
You know, I'm going. I really am going because all you have done is negative.
There's some really cool stuff over here you can click on. And if you click right down here by my elbow, you can subscribe to Angry Men Reviews here on YouTube. So click away. I don't care. I'm paid anyway. Have a nice night and take care.